Thursday, July 19th, 2018. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goz. That's Dan. The voice you hear in your head, that's Dan Yelkers. Confirm it.
That's me.
That's him.
That's me.
And that's Megan Olivi.
Hi.
What kind of coffee is that? Did you make that?
It's Pete's Coffee. There's one in Las Vegas, and it's delicious.
Where is it at?
In Summerlin. Right off of Town Center exit.
Oh, okay.
She said it's Pete's Coffee. It's my best friend Pete's Coffee.
Yeah. His best friend's name's Pete.
Oh, I was like,
somehow he was
best friends with the Pete's on it? Sick.
Who would you want to be like best friends with?
Mm.
Definitely not Papa John right now. Who else?
Oh, in terms of like food or something?
Yeah, like just pick a place where maybe like the owner.
Like the In-N-Out. The In-N-Out mogul. Yeah, for sure.
And just everywhere you go, In-N-Out.
Yeah.
So you changed the game a little bit because I was thinking like have you ever been to Glow?
No.
Okay, like Family Fun Center type places?
Yeah.
But everything glows?
Oh.
I think I'd want to be friends with him and then just constantly go in miniature golf and just be the king of miniature golf.
Oh, okay. Aim high.
Yeah, you changed the game because I like yours better. Who would I want to be?
But like anyone. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe a concert venue?
Yes. Or like, the Goodmans?
This is something we're going to have to bring up on the show.
Yeah, this is a...
But we have to set a limit, though. Like, you can't just go shoot crazy high. It's got to be somewhere in the middle.
Coming up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah? Maybe. In-N-Out, I think, is fair.
Right, because then, like, they probably do cool stuff, too. So it's, like, win-win there.
Yeah, it's
food and cool things. But really just food.
See that guy? He's the owner of In-N-Out. And that's Megan, his friend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. I guess I have a real problem, huh? Hi, John.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Nice to see you.
I get a Shake Shack every time we do an event at T-Mobile.
Oh, how can you not?
Love that.
Coming up at 30.
At T-Mobile?
Yeah, they give them, like, little tickets, right?
Yeah, because there's not room for, where we have the press room, there's not room for a media spread, basically, so they give us tickets.
But I feel like that's way better.
It is and it isn't. Like, the flexibility of being able to get whatever you want is awesome. The inconvenience.
Oh, true.
I told him, I was like, dude, if you could just put, like, some...
Only John keeps complaining about getting free food.
All
right. Mike coming up.
Some crackers or something.
Yeah.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goz. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long.
Thanks.
We rollin'! Yes!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goz.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goz. Ari's co-host. To my far left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Producing back at the Sirius Studios in New York, Danny Otto. Sitting to my far right, 2009 Journalist of the Year and 2017 Journalist of the Year nominee, John Morgan. Fox Sports and UFC reporter and host, Megan Olivi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Wow, you out of breath?
A little bit.
Yeah. That's a
Long intro.
Yeah.
I do like to say 2017 red carpet champion.
Oh,
did.
that was beastly.
You did.
Yeah,
you took that home.
Yeah, I walked the red carpet and I said, listen, we knew Journalist of the Year. We knew where it was going. Ariel Helwani, he's got 500,000 Twitter followers or whatever. It's a tough one to ask, but figured, F it, I'm going to have some fun. So, first of all, my wife was out of town, so I walked the red carpet with my boys that came with me, and then I had a beer with me the whole time, a little frosty beverage.
Perfect.
Yeah, so all the pictures, I'm holding a Budweiser, and it was funny because I walked up to the red carpet, and the lady's like, we can take that and hold that for you. I'm like, you absolutely will not. Leave me my beer. So
you did win the red carpet. I'll give you that one.
That's why I may not have brought home the award, but I think I won the red carpet.
But you up the level now. I think next year you have to come with one of those guitars that's filled with beer or something. Just change it up every year. Yeah, every year you have to have something different.
A helmet with the little cans on it.
That would be great.
All right, so can I throw something super random out there?
Yeah, because I'm about to do it too.
Okay. I'm driving down Blue Diamond. I make a left on Rainbow. You guys with me?
Yeah.
As I'm going, I think it's either America West or one of those home builders. I think it's them. I'm driving. It was a 3-story home. And at the top, it looked like it had a garage.
What?
Like in the 3rd floor. Now, obviously, that's ridiculous. Like a 1-car garage. It looked like that. It just, you know how they're making them boxy versus pointy homes? Very modernized. As I'm driving, I go, looks like a garage, And I thought, why would they do that? But as I was driving, I was like, wait a minute. Why is that ridiculous? What would be so ridiculous about if that was your man cave, and then on a cool summer night, you hit the button, and it just opens up.
Into your house?
Right?
I support that.
I ain't hate it.
And I was like, do I get that inventor's patent, or did they already think about it? I almost want to drive back and go, is that a garage? And if not...
But do you necessarily have to have the garage door opener? Can't you just have, like, glass windows?
Yeah, you could do this deal like Scarface and just, open up two doors, French doors or whatever
but
they call them.
have the garage
but I
door
thought the
opener
garage
feel.
was kind of cool, like...
It's manlier.
It's something to talk about. Someone walks in your house, you go, is that a garage? Yeah, fuck yeah, come check it out. You got the big screen TV and want a beer and blah, blah, blah.
Or maybe like the Dukes of Hazzard live there and they just jump the General Lee.
Every time.
Well, what's the 3rd floor? Maybe the 2nd floor. The 3rd floor is quite away, but I was baffled by it. I thought about it the whole way home.
You gotta drive over there, knock on the door.
I am going to go and do the tour. It's like it's the model home, so I'm just going to check it out.
Then you have to.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea.
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
This is a conversation we were having before. In Vegas, John, you've been here a while now. All of us have all been here for a while. Who would be the coolest hookup? So, in other words, Megan said she would like to be friends with the owner of In-N-Out.
Well, I didn't realize it was just an...
You didn't reach too high.
No, that's not bad. That's pretty good, actually.
You want free burgers forever?
He said something, and then he's like, well, I know it's not Papa John, so I was thinking, like, just food level.
No, I was saying like,
okay,
Papa John for sure. But, like, who would be, like, the coolest hookup? But don't aim too high. Like, don't be ridiculous.
Okay. Do I have to go first? Because I have an old one, but I want to think about a good one.
All right, I was thinking more of maybe like
go.
a concert venue.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Like
free
if you
tickets.
know,
I got you.
Like you can just roll in VIP.
Check this out. My barber, part-time barber, I don't see him as often because my girlfriend cuts my hair.
What does it make him a part-time barber?
Well, like when she's in California and I need to get something done, I call Jimmy Scissors. But he's not my regular like he used to be.
Sorry.
And Jimmy would ask me, hey, you going to the fights this weekend? I'm like, well, I'm staying home for this one or whatever. And he has a guy he cuts his hair. He's a connection at T-Mobile. And that guy's always telling him, come on down, man. I'll put you in the suite. I'll do this. I'll do that.
Yeah.
He says he gets it for concerts, for fights. And I'm like, why aren't you doing it? And he's like, well, I got to find a babysitter. And I just shake my head and go, man. So that one would be cool. But I used to have that XS hookup. He's no longer there. And that was pretty cool. Because for one day, you were just a star. You just bypassed the line. And he'd run me through. Free bottle.
Signs with your name.
Not that. I wasn't that big of a but they had the have a bottle of vodka is at Lee's Liquor is what $34, $49 if it's the big boy, and they charge $600 for that. So you get a couple of those and just get set up. That was such a cool hookup until Steve Wynn said, "Hey, we got to part ways."
Yeah.
So I no longer have that, but I'd love to have that back. Even though I'm not really a club goer, it was good for like once or twice a year.
So it's the T-Mobile one would be yours?
Now that I think about it, the T-Mobile one would be pretty cool.
Mine, right?
Because the Lakers, UFC, imagine all the fights and events and concerts.
Oscar Goodman. That'd be the hookup.
Yeah.
Former mayor, dude knows everybody, former defense attorney here. He's hooked up. But more than that, I love his steakhouse. I don't know if you've ever been to Oscar's at the Plaza, which is like old school Vegas. It is amazing.
What did we just go to?
It's amazing.
Hugo Cellar.
Oh, okay,
Hugo Cellar was awesome too. But yeah, Oscar's at the Plaza. I don't really understand any other reason you'd be at the Plaza, to be honest with you. It's kind of not, I like the
the awning. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
well,
with all the lights.
that over that awning, that's where the steakhouse is, right there, like kind of that rounded glass area. So it's got an awesome view on Fremont Street.
That's neat.
The food is money.
We should put a garage up there.
So you so you would get the hookup on the steaks at the steakhouse that I like, because I don't really club anymore. I got a kid, I really don't even go to concerts that much unless kids out of town or whatever. So so I would like to hook up on the steakhouse, and then on top of that, Oscar Goodman basically gets in anywhere, anything. He owns his town. So
yeah, and I'll get you out of trouble too.
Yeah, which luckily I'm older now and don't get in much trouble anymore. But it's always nice to have that in your back pocket.
Have you rethought your answer, Megan?
Well, I feel like yes,
Sticking with
I
In-N-Out?
have. First off, though, this is my thing with In-N-Out. It's delicious, but then they're moguls, right? Who doesn't want to hang with the creator of In-N-Out or the owner of In-N-Out? So they probably have a lot of hookups. But now that I'm thinking about it, is there somebody that owns like an airline here in Las Vegas? Because that would be mine. Just with the amount of
you can fly private.
Yeah, just the amount of flights that we're on. The smallest upgrades or like an extra bottle of water, like that changes our day.
That's a good.
So
that's pretty good.
I feel like because then you can go on vacations, you can have like upgrades for work. So I'm gonna go with whoever in Las Vegas might own an airline.
Did you guys hear about John McCarthy, by the way?
No.
I don't know where he was. I don't know if he's still reacting to Rome, Italy, but he got on a flight and went 3.5 hours the wrong way.
What?
Then had to get off, and then he was in London, and then there was a big delay there, and then he goes, after all that, he described a bunch of chaos. He goes, I still got to sit on a 10-hour flight back to Vegas. But can you imagine going the wrong way?
How does
he
that
go the wrong way? Like he got on the wrong plane?
I guess so, yeah.
He got on the wrong plane?
Either that or I misread it. I mean, yeah, I read it a couple times. Like, what?
Well, that happened to Don Fry on our show. Remember we were interviewing him, and they like said over the intercom, "Is there a Don Fry?" Oh, that's me, partner. I'm on the wrong plane.
In the middle of the flight?
Yeah, remember on the show, and he was on. So somehow you can get in there.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a good hookup. Flying private would be. Well,
doesn't Team Alpha Male have something like that going on? They got a sponsor.
Yeah, they had a sponsor for a while.
I mean, it was just Sacramento, Vegas. I don't know if they were flying all over the world,
they
but
had a sponsor for
it seemed to be pretty convenient for them.
I do remember that.
But like, I mean, like a nice, like a big jet.
Like a Lear.
Like those Jet Smarter people, them and all.
Have you ever been on a private jet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the Conor McGregor World Tours on private jet.
Oh, that's right. Okay, and that's just that changed your life.
Yes. Well, and you know what's it's not just the flight itself.
It's the no security, right?
Yes, it's the fact that like you don't have to get harassed to get on the plane. You just walk to it, and they're like, "Oh, I'll take your bag," and then you get on, and you're done. It's the best.
Have you guys gone to the stage where you've gotten your junk checked by TSA?
Yeah. Yes, that happened 2 flights ago.
Because I thought because the guy told me, he goes, I'm all right to, and I thought, yeah, what? The ass, because I have a pocket there, and the groin, because, whatever. But no, it's like the actual junk.
Wait.
It's not relegated to just men.
They're not supposed to grab this way, bro. It's supposed to be the back.
Back in the hand. That's what they tell you.
Yeah, we did something. I just went, whoa, like that. I even stood up. A couple people, because I made a little bit out of it. But I didn't know.
Male or female?
Male.
You have to have the same sex do the scans on you.
Well, mine, they showed me on the thing. They go, "You're glowing," and I was glowing in my crotch and my ass, and I was like, "Come on, dude, you made that up." And he's like, "No, we got to do so." They didn't know what it was, but they're like, "Yeah, you're glowing on both ends."
I don't know. I think because I get a lot of one-way tickets, and so I think that sometimes can be a red flag.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you buy last.
But why a red flag for your crotch is what I'm trying to understand.
I have no idea, man. I have no idea. I for half a second I did feel violated, and I understand when people say that what they meant. But I'm one of those that I'm just like, I just laugh it off. Like, I guess the dude had to do his job.
How much would you have had to pay for that at the Rhino? You know what I mean? So you got a
couple lap dances, yeah. I mean, you got to go to VIP, and Anyway, all right.
Tell him to double up the glove.
It's great to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
your decision right now.
You had a nice vacation, Bora Bora, right?
Yes.
Wow, crystal clear waters, but them sharks, Megan.
Okay, so
I know they're not great whites, but
that was I'm not like, oh, swim with sharks without a cage is on my bucket list. Like no, I didn't even think about it. But Dana FaceTimed us, so we were in Bora Bora, and Dana texted me, "Are you in Bora Bora?" And I was like, oh my God, am I supposed to be at the office right now? Like, am I getting fired? So he pops up on my FaceTime. I'm like, oh my God, what did I forget? Like, this never happens. And then he's like, oh, you have to do this shark thing. It was the coolest thing I ever did in my life. He's like, my kid, like, loved it. And they actually grabbed onto the fin and, like, rode the shark. And so I'm like, okay, if Dana says it's cool, like, it's got to be cool. He's seen everything in life. So we go to the concierge and we book it. and we do it the next day. It was insane. It was amazing. It was the coolest thing. One of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. And I feel like, we've had a lot of opportunities to explore different parts of the world and see different things. But it was by far one of the coolest things we've ever done.
Did you grab onto a shark? And
No, so I only got in because Joe got in. I was like, well, if he gets eaten, I want to go with him. So I'll go too. So I jumped in. But
we are very different, Megan.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a supportive wife, but I got scared. So he was right in the thick of it, swimming with the sharks and everything, and I kind of just stayed back.
So you weren't in any cage at all, or
no,
nothing?
No cage at all. The locals actually dive right down, and they'll pick up shark teeth on the bottom of the floor of the ocean floor, and it's 30 feet down. I mean, it was crazy deep, and there was all different kinds of sharks. And they just tell you, don't touch their, don't go for their mouths and don't, make sudden movements, which obviously.
Who needs that warning?
Yeah, but we were in there forever, and then we went to another place where it's stingrays, and Dana kept telling us, the stingrays are like puppies, and I didn't really understand what he meant. I was like, okay, boss. But they're just crawling up you. They just want to, play and be pet. It was the weirdest thing. I have a video of us just screaming, and yeah, it was insane. And there were more sharks there and stuff. It was.
So you recommend the sharks?
Yeah, I recommend it. Highly recommend it. Yeah.
What kind of sharks?
Lemon sharks and something else. But we had done in the Bahamas last year. We had done that whole swim with the sharks thing without a cage. But a girl got bit on the foot in our group because they tell you don't kick violently and don't thrash your arms near their mouth. And she did, and she got bit. And you could see the 3 little teeth marks and stuff.
Did it draw blood?
Yeah. So I immediately got out. Joe was like, no, it's fine. He stayed in. But I was like, no. So we had already done that in the Bahamas. This was way more epic because in the Bahamas, it's they know they're getting fed. It's a little port for boats. But so they know they're getting fed, so they're very calm there. But this was the middle of the ocean in Bora Bora, which is also the middle of nowhere. It was nuts.
Was it bite and go away, or was it one of those things where the shark?
I think they just bit her and went away. But she was crying, and then I was like, oh, this seems not safe. I'm done.
Yeah.
Those sharks look like they were big enough that they could do
they
some
were
damage.
Huge.
But there was a lot of them, and if they're in there, I'm sure they got their warnings and they had some safety protocol or whatever. Yeah. But the one thing I was thinking was, do other sharks come in the area and, all of a sudden, whoa, we weren't expecting that big fella. I mean, I don't know if sharks go after other sharks or
yeah, the locals who do it, they do it every day. That's how they make their living. They take tourists to that spot every day. And they said in 6 years they had only seen 1 shark bite. So
there's only been 1 death in 6 years. It's
fine. It's fine.
Did you guys ever see that movie The Beach, I think it's called, with Leonardo DiCaprio? Yeah. It's called The Beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know
so
of it.
It's based in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like Leonardo DiCaprio movies?
I was never
I've seen Wolf of Wall Street 1,000,000 times.
I've seen it once. My husband has watched it 50,000 times.
Yeah. I'm a big Leo fan, so I catch all his movies. But that one I'm not going to tell you it's great. It's an Oscar winner or nothing. But it's entertaining. But there is a shark scene there where you're like, whoa. Oh, and it's based in Southeast Asia where you were. I mean, you weren't there. It references an island off of Thailand.
Yeah, no, it was still scary because we had one of those huts and you could see every once in a while stingrays, and they're like, oh, sometimes sharks come by. I'm like, oh, okay.
You were out in the water? That's where you slept?
Mm-hmm. Our floor was glass, so you just look down and it's...
Get out of here.
Whole really floor? Cool, but kind of a little scary, too. Is it a little
It wasn't scary at all. No, it was amazing. Yeah. And we had only gone because he was supposed to fight in New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And so we booked the trip because it was 3 hours from New Zealand, so we had it all booked.
You're already way over there. Why not take advantage?
Exactly. And then he tore his ACL, and they weren't going to give us our money back. And so they gave us a credit to use within 1 year, and the 1 year was up the day we got there. We just made it, or otherwise we would have lost all our money for the flights and the hotel.
So if you had a Big John flight delay, you would have lost it, or would they have kind of given you?
Well, we got there in the morning, so we would have had the whole afternoon and evening to make it. We would have had 18 hours. Yeah.
This was right after his fight too, right?
It was the next day. We flew home to Vegas for a couple of hours. I did all of our laundry, and then we repacked and left.
Well, good for you guys. It looked like a real cool trip.
Yeah.
How is Joseph doing?
He's doing all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. I saw him once at Extreme, and he was lively as usual.
Yeah.
And by the way, he tipped me off to, I'm not sure if you've gone down there with him, but he rolled in with the fellas, Schnell and Palmer. Esther's Kitchen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my parents.
Great
my
call.
parents went down. We took them there. Downtown.
Great call.
Have you been?
No.
It's good. They make all their pastas,
Fresh,
so that's
yeah.
like how we can say it's legit. Because otherwise, we're brats about Italian food. But it was really good. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to Latai tonight.
Oh.
Yeah?
It's really good.
Where's that?
You been there?
No.
Downtown?
They have like Latai and Lafa and one other one.
I need to go downtown.
District 1, I think, is theirs as well, which is
it?
really good. District 1, super good. Yeah.
Downtown's popping, huh?
Yeah.
Get down there.
So, Volkan Özdemir's out, right? I think I read that on the way in. Sorry, the red light somewhere. I don't know. But that sucks because I really like the way 205, I just grabbed the odds here, and you look at the top and you see Corey Anderson and Glover Teixeira, Mauricio Shogun Hua and Anthony Smith. And you got Daniel Cormier. Like, is he going to defend at 205 before the Lesnar fight? Or is he not? Because that is a big money fight waiting for him. But if so, who would it be? So I got my eyes on this weekend's Hamburg card because we got these guys. We had what I thought was Volkan versus Gustafsson. Looking more at Gustafsson, obviously. He wants a rematch. Volkan just had his shot. But that was a bummer. So I don't know what they're going to do. And Justin Ledet dropping from heavyweight to light heavyweight. He's undefeated, and when you're undefeated, people pay attention. He's got that nice boxing stance.
He's got a great jab.
Yeah, bummer for 227.
It's a bummer. I honestly, I wanted the 205 division to keep moving forward in the interim, but I really don't think DC is going to fight at 205. Just a guess. There's no educated opinion there, and I understand his logic. Now maybe let's say this: if we hear next week that John Jones is clear, then maybe it's worth it because that's a lot of money on the table. And even if he loses to John Jones again, the fight with Lesnar still makes sense. But outside of John Jones, I just don't see a fight that's going to make him a lot of money. And I know on the night of, he's like, I'll defend them both. But I think that's a lot of adrenaline talking. And boy, you got them belts on both shoulders. And you're feeling pretty good. You saw him dancing by press row. He was feeling good. But I think when you sit back logically and think about it, if he's trying to adhere to that March deadline for his 40th birthday, why risk getting hurt? Why, and not even just the fight itself. Why risk a training camp where something might go wrong? I mean, you want that Lesnar fight. That's the money fight. So I don't think he's going to defend at 205, and I don't blame him. The only way I would say he does it is if we hear from USADA soon and John Jones is clear and ready to go, and they book that fight. And even then, they could book that at heavyweight. I've heard some people say they'd like to see it at heavyweight, but I just. No disrespect to Gustafsson. I mean, he straight said it. We fought before, and you're a hell of a fighter, and we didn't make any money. It's no disrespect to anybody at 205, but when you sit back and logically think about it, I mean, if you were giving DC advice, wouldn't you tell him, bro, just
hang back for Lesnar and sail off in the sunset?
Yeah, and, I mean, he's a busy guy. First off, he's doing so much work, so it's not like when he's off from a training camp that he's off just relaxing. He's working all the time, but then I think he really enjoyed being able to not worry about a weight cut. I mean, he felt a lot better. You could just see during fight week he was more at ease in terms of, like, mentally and the wear on his face. You could just tell this was easier for him. So if he's almost 40 years old, cutting down to 205 is obviously not easy. And so if he can have this dream fight, because he's known Brock since NCAA wrestling, he's a huge wrestling fan in terms of pro wrestling. This is his dream fight, plus all that money is on the table. I agree with you, John. I totally agree.
He did. Boy, how natural was he on the mic the other night when calling DC? I mean, it was funny because I know it upset some people. I saw some people say, this is scripted.
I know.
It wasn't scripted.
No.
It was just two guys that were basically doing improv performing that knew their roles. I mean, DC, I don't know. You said it. He's busy, the commentary career. I mean, I'm sure that that pays pretty well, help pay the bills. But, I mean, if he's not too old and not opposed to it, a couple of WWE appearances here and there when he hangs it up.
I went to WWE with him just recently when Ronda was here in Las Vegas. It was Elimination Chamber. Myself, Joseph, Kane, DC, Mike Chiesa, we all went. We were in the front row cheering for Ronda. He knew everything. He knew everyone's slogan. He knew everyone's character. They have these like timed things where they'll give a line and then the crowd reacts. He knew all of it. And so did Kane, actually.
That's awesome.
So I could see that happening as well. But if you look at like his open workouts, for instance, when he takes that mic, he does the same thing that he did inside the octagon. So for us that see that all the time, it wasn't weird having him like give those lines super ready. He knew Brock was in the crowd. I didn't think it was scripted at all. I thought, he's finally getting what he's like dreamt about for so long, this opportunity to take the mic and speak to Brock Lesnar. So I thought it was amazing, and I enjoy when Brock's around. I really do. So
that's so weird. I've gone so full circle on Brock. Like when he first came to the UFC a decade ago, I was like, oh, Christ. You know, I mean, I knew he had the legit wrestling background, so it wasn't like CM Punk was a nice guy. I'm not picking on him. But, you know, you knew he was at least a legit fighter. But I was like, oh, this guy. And then he wins a title. I'm like, oh, my God, this is horrible. We've got this pro wrestler as our heavyweight champion. This is awful for the sport. But I'm like you now when they're like, oh, Brock's coming back. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just – it's fun. People get interested. People click. And I just hope that when people do that, you know, A, it's good for the sport because everybody makes money. Guys like DC get paid. But I hope that, you know, people will tune in and watch and see somebody else on the card that they're like, oh, I never heard of that dude before. I can't remember so-and-so. Like, I just hope that's what happens when he's around. But it is fun to have Brock around, man. He knows how to cut a promo. He has fun with it. And
yeah, he's really fun to work with, actually. So I always enjoy working with Brock. So I'm excited for his return.
Next week's a big week then, because you're saying Jones. We get an answer there.
No, I'm saying if we did.
Oh, if we did.
Yeah, because
are we supposed to? Does he have a hearing?
We don't know. So here's the thing:
and
is
Connor as well, right?
Here's the thing that's kind of frustrating about USADA, and I was talking to Jeff Nowitzki about this, is that they are transparent about everything, but they're not transparent about it while it's happening. So he could be. We don't even know where it's at this point, and nobody can tell you. They're not allowed to talk to you about it. So the thing is, like, they may already have the finding, and if they want to appeal the finding, then that still happens before we hear anything. So by the time we actually get the report from USADA, everything is done at that point. If he's appealed, if he's argued, if they've cut, you know, whatever they've come to. So that's the thing is there is no real, like, deadline day. We hear it should be coming soon, but that's all we know, and we don't know exactly what's happening in the meantime. So it's frustrating. But I kind of get it. I mean, they don't want everything to play out in the public, and they want it to be as, you know, airtight as possible. And then when the report comes out, you see everything. But it's frustrating during the process because you don't know what's going on.
Speaking of, Anderson Silva got cleared.
Yeah,
another
compounding pharmacy issue.
Tainted supplement. Yeah, but he does still have to ride out some sort of a suspension.
He's still got
the end of the year.
He's still got a year.
And I don't like that, John, because if he was cleared, clear him. I don't like hearing the word suspension attached to all that.
But here's the thing.
That's the problem with guilty until innocent.
But I don't think he was actually cleared because I guess it looks in how you want to have your attitude about it. They did find the substances in his system. What they're saying is he didn't necessarily do it on purpose, and he has a history. That's the reason he got the year, is because he has a history. There have been other issues. But it is another red flag, these compounding pharmacies that we're learning about as Americans now. Brazilian fighters, I hope they're paying attention. Like, don't get your supplements at these pharmacies down in Brazil because they basically craft everything and make it there. And it's one of two things. Either A, it's like cross-contamination, like with food products and stuff you hear. You know, you don't clean your surface well enough and some stuff. You know, I was just cutting some anabolic steroids, and now I'm cutting your aspirin, and now you got steroids in your aspirin. Or what I've heard, too, is that some of them will put it in on their own so that they're like, hey, you know, when we make stuff, it's the best, you know. And it's scary, man. Junior Dos Santos, there's been a couple, you know, Little Nog as well, Anderson. I mean, these compounding pharmacies are an issue down in Brazil.
Yeah, you know, I actually, years ago, before USADA came into effect for the UFC, years ago I was talking to Kenny Florian, and he, you know, spent some time in Brazil training, and he told me that he used to have people bring down, I want to say like whey protein, just regular protein, because he didn't take the stuff that was made down there. And that was a long time ago that Kenny was, you know, spending that amount of time down there, living down there in Brazil. And I remember him saying that, and that kind of stuck with me ever since. And so when the USADA program was enacted for the UFC and all of this has been happening, that's always been in the back of my mind. Like,
even then.
Yeah, even then people knew about it.
I love USADA to be a part of the UFC. I applaud the UFC for taking on the most stringent testing in all of sports.
Yeah.
But I do want them to clear that up a little bit about these fighters get hammered so bad when the headline comes out that someone is on a temporary suspension for, what do they say, and possible anti-doping violations. People don't read that. People read, he cheated. And that's not cool, you know?
I agree with that, but here's the thing. So I was talking to Jeff about this as well because I brought up the same thing, and he had a great point, and I'm hoping to actually have a full sit-down interview with him soon. I've been trying to work that out. But so I was like, couldn't you just, like, quietly pull somebody from the fight? You know, like, oh, you had a knee injury, or you know what I mean? But then he said, look, if you start doing that, that's not transparency. You know what I mean? If you start saying, well, listen, we don't want to put your name out there, but hey, guys, Volkan Ostemier's out this weekend, you know, and I probably shouldn't attach somebody's name to it, you know, but if you just say, oh, a fighter's out, we had to replace him or whatever, and you don't say anything about it, that's not transparency. So what you're saying is true because you are right. It is like the headline on page 1 and then the retraction on the back of page 10, you know, who sees the retraction. It is that way, but there is a reason and a logic for why they do it, which is if we don't fully announce what's going on, then we're not being transparent about it.
Well, hopefully we can have a sit down with Nowitzki to kind of clear a few of these things
I put in a request. I think it's a good time. It's been about 3 years.
He's the best.
He is so educated.
He is the best. I can't say enough good things about him, like both as a professional and somebody that I travel with quite often on the road. He's a great person.
We need to take a break.
You're
listening
Russia, though.
to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We have Megan Olivi in the house. It's fantasy football season, and Fantasy Sports Radio is helping you win. Listen to the best fantasy football analysts for expert advice you can't hear anywhere else. Learn winning strategies and find out which players you need to have on your fantasy football team. Be the most prepared player at your draft with Fantasy Sports Radio, Series 210, XM87, streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. All right, joining us now on the hotline is one of the legends of the sport. He's part of the esteemed Gracie family. His name's Renzo Gracie. He's headed off to the Philippines to be performing at One Championship 78 Reign of Kings versus Yuki Kondo. What's up, Renzo Gracie? How you doing?
Hey, man. A pleasure to be here with you guys. Everything great. I can't complain. Life is going too soft.
Awesome, man. Long time no talk. Thank you for joining us here again on the MMA Junkie radio show. Usually we're talking street fight stories and food and things like that. But, hey, we're actually talking an MMA fight, and you're actually fighting again after, 8 years?
After 8 years, I can you believe, it's never too late to have fun. That's the secret, you know?
Who made this happen? Did they approach you, or did you approach them?
Yeah, actually, they approached me. They called me. I'm very good friends with Shatri, who's the CEO of the company, and he actually trained with us here in New York for a while.
Yeah.
He owns Evolve, one of the best schools, jiu-jitsu schools in Asia. And he looked at me, he goes, Herzog, do you want to fight one more? I want to do one more fight. Sign me up. When is it? I was supposed to fight, I think, May. I said, you can put it on. Count me in.
Wow.
But then they postponed it, and then it's happening now, next week on the 27th.
Okay.
Can't wait.
So you do about 2 weeks training camp. Did your 51-year-old body go, what do you do? Poja, what are you doing? Did it talk back to you, or did things go smooth for you?
What people don't realize is I never stop training. I keep training.
Okay.
I've been training actually serious for over a year and a half, and I'm feeling better now than when I was 25,
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm really feeling good. I can't wait to test myself on this match.
Renzo Gracie, he'll be fighting. Sorry, Renzo.
And there was a funny situation. They asked, Renzo, do you want us to get a guy your age? I go, guys, are you crazy? I don't beat up old people. What do you think this is? A geriatric encounter? No way. I want to fight a kid. Get a young kid. So they got Yuki Kondo, it's an honor to fight him. He's a guy that I admire a lot, that I've seen fighting on Pride. He has over 100 fights.
Yeah.
And then I embraced the idea right away. I say, but he's younger. He's 10 years younger than me, so that's good.
All right.
That's going to be a good match.
Renzo Gracie, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Remember, One Championship has the app now, guys. You can watch the fights at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, and that'll be on July 27th. So we're literally about less than 10 days away. All right, Goes, what do you have for Renzo Gracie?
Renzo, that was going to be along my lines of questioning is how the opponent came about. Was it a handful of people, and he was selected? Was there anybody in particular that you wanted that they couldn't get?
I believe they try Sakuraba, but I think Sakuraba is involved in a grappling association right now that he's organizing, and he couldn't do it. So then I think they see me as a legend. They want to get someone who has history on the sport on the same level, So they went and get Kondo, who did over 100 fights. He beat the best, a lot of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys, the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys out there. He was able to beat them. He was a guy that I was actually, he was many times when Pride asked who I want to fight, I said him, back in the day, but I never had the opportunity to fight him. And it came about now. I couldn't believe when they offered me him to fight,
I would say to fight Renzo Gracie in his last matchup would be an honor, but also to be part of his corner would be an honor. Who is going to be in that last corner for you?
This is the thing. I have, just today, I had 5 people. They already bought the ticket. Like, they not even wait for me to give they bought the ticket, and they're flying down there. They go, I'm going to be there and I'll be in your corner. So I'm going to have to negotiate with Kondo. I hope I can put like 8 people in my corner.
You going to do the Gracie train?
Every friend, every relative, every guy is calling me to come over, It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Renzo, you're going to do the Gracie train? If you get 8 people, I think that's enough for a train, right?
At least, yeah. So I hope so. I hope we do a train to have some fun, you know?
All right, we have an all-star cast here.
Good days.
John Morgan has a question for you. John, what do you have for Renzo Gracie?
Yeah, Renzo, I mean, you said it. You're an MMA legend with absolutely nothing to prove. So I wonder, what do you hope to accomplish with this fight? I mean, is it about getting the bad taste out of your mouth of the last fight, of not getting the result? Is it something you want to do? Because, I mean, the world knows your name. The world knows your accomplishments. So what is it that you personally want to accomplish with this fight?
I have no bad taste. I never had. But you see, people only see winning or losing. That's a very shallow side of what fighting is. You know, in reality, I want to fight because I keep wondering. Before anything else, I'm a teacher. You know, and I teach jiu-jitsu. So I keep wondering. I need to know every aspect of every age. You know, of how your body reacts, how your mind reacts. How you can be calm, how you shouldn't be anxious, how you do things under pressure. So in reality, I think it's a unique opportunity for me, especially being healthy the way that I am right now, to test myself and to improve my knowledge so I can pass to the future generations, not only my family, but of my students. That I'll be able to build better fighters, that I'll be able to build better human beings. And that knowledge, you have to understand, it's like what we take from, I have everything. I have money, I don't need to work one day anymore in my lifetime. You know? But I do it because I think it's extremely important to be constantly building and making the people around you grow, making the things around you grow, you know? And in reality, I'm going in there to acquire knowledge. And above all, the most important thing that's the only thing we take from this life. Memories. I'm going there to acquire memories that I can pass through these memories, pass knowledge to the ones that come after me. You know, to my relatives, to my students. And some people say there's life after death. So I hope there is, and I hope there is fighting there too. So I can bring these amazing memories to kick some ass on the other side too, you know.
I love it.
That's the reality.
I love it. Renzo Gracie, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Again, he'll be fighting on the One Championship 78 card, Reign of Kings in Pasay, the Philippines. His opponent that night will be Yuki Kondo, and the One Championship app has got you covered with a 7 a.m. start time on the Eastern Time Zone. All right, we also have Fox Sports and UFC host and reporter Megan Olivi here with us. Megan, what do you have for Renzo?
Hey, Renzo. How are you?
Good talking to you, Megan. Finally, a good voice.
You know, you were just talking about memories, and I kind of want to make a big left turn here. Your gym in New York City has some of the greatest fighters come through its doors every day to train, and then you've also got celebrities of all walks of life that are coming in to learn from you and the instructors there at Renzo Gracie in Manhattan. But, you know, one of your most famous students was Anthony Bourdain, and you speak about memories. Do you have any great memories with Anthony that you could maybe share with us? Because we always saw him at UFC events, and he was always so kind. I would love to hear from you because you knew him on a personal level.
One of the most amazing souls I ever met. You know, a very generous guy, and it was a surprise to everybody. He was there at the academy during the whole week that preceded the accident, and it's you see, like, this is what I'm saying to you. It's life is a mystery, you know, and the truth is, it can be over at any given moment. You can be crossing a street. I've seen people. One time, a guy was sitting on the building, and someone called him. He moved it away. A fire extinguisher fell from the 3rd floor, and by chance, a friend of his called him, and he moved his head. That thing didn't hit him on the head. So I've seen that. So the life can be over at any time, and the only thing we take from here are great memories. You know, and a lot of times it's unexplained why some flames last longer than the others, you know, like, but at the same time, we can measure our life by the time that was lived. We have to measure by the intensity that was lived. Anthony Bourdain outlived all of us. You know, it's a guy who traveled the whole world, had a sat down with everybody to share a meal, to share stories, to listen, to judge what they were saying, and to ponder and think how he would see it. It's like maybe he outlives us all. You know, maybe every time that I was near him, I was touched by a great soul. I was in awe of how amazing he was, in his, especially in his simplicity. He wasn't a guy who bragged. He wasn't a guy who put people down. He was always very giving. He helped another student to build up his restaurant and to grow without gaining nothing, just a good meal and some laughs and a story over a bottle of whiskey. So life is a train ride. Some people will come in and stay for a couple stations next to you. Some people will stay all the way to the end, to the final destination. And some will come in and just leave, and some will come in and even talk to you. So in reality, dumb are those who don't learn from those passengers that sit next to them and telling them a story, And I was very fortunate to learn from Anthony, to have him in our match. And I saw that the kindness and the openness that he extended to me, who was the teacher, I think the most important person in the academy, he did to the guy who shined shoe on Madison Square Garden. He treated me the same way, as good as he treated the guy who shines shoe. It's like, so shows like this are rare to find, and he has a beautiful daughter that for sure will train jiu-jitsu until she makes her black belt. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, he definitely impacted many, and he'll be missed by many. Yeah. That was a great dude right there. Sorry for the loss of your friend, Renzo. Your friend and student. Listen, sir, we appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing that story, we will be tuning in on the 27th to see you in action yet again. Renzo Gracie versus Yuki Kondo. Please let us know when you're back in Vegas. We want to have you back in studio. More street fight stories.
I'll come to give you guys a hug. Megan, don't leave those guys alone. They disappear without you. Your voice saved the show.
We have a rough connection with Renzo, don't we? Yeah. Sounds like we're losing him. All right, Renzo. Thank you.
Hello. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Love you guys. All the best.
All right, take care. We'll see you.
Good luck.
Dude, talk about impact. That dude's impacted a lot of lives.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that Renzo Gracie, it's got
a tree.
Yeah, it's a tree, man, with many branches, and you can just tell his charisma. If you meet him in person, he's such an awesome person. Mm-hmm. You just gravitate to him. He's magnetic. Mm-hmm. But even on the phone, it comes over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, he's got a student that was just inducted in the Hall of Fame, in Matt Serra, and he's still fighting. How crazy is that?
That is crazy. Yeah. All right, let's take another break. Get that out of the way. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. We'll talk a little bit about UFC 228. They released a lot of fight bookings, including a title fight, which I'm not sure yet if it's their main event or not. But either way, I love what they're putting together out in Dallas, Texas on September 8th.
They were kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good looking. Once again, here's Gorgeous George and Goes.
Barstool Sports is heating up your radio this summer, bringing their unique flavor to sports and pop culture stories that are trending this week, such as the All-Star Game, the Kawhi Leonard trade, the latest celebrity gossip, and much more. Enjoy refreshing content by the Common Man for the Common Man on Barstool Radio, on Power 85, and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM, connected devices, and speakers. Did you guys see that home run contest the other day?
Yeah.
I watched part of it on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that and the slam dunk contest, just give me that every year. The actual games themselves, I always just hope that a key athlete doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Let's just get through that. But it's so good for the fans, especially kids. I remember as a kid, like, that's all you could think about.
I was obsessed with the home run derby when I was a kid. Yeah.
I can't really get down with it much anymore, but I do remember as a kid I loved it. I used to love the All-Star Game. Basketball All-Star Game when I was a kid. Loved it, man.
I like the Rock and Jock. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
With celebrities?
Yes!
That was fun.
Oh, it's always my goal to play in one of those.
You know who had game?
Because I played softball like my whole life, so I feel like they wouldn't know what hit him when this
You wanna
5-foot tall
sneak
girl
up on 'em?
comes in. Yeah.
You have handles or what? Or a shot?
No, softball. And
that's
I have
softball?
0 handles.
They did it for every
basketball.
sport.
Yeah.
So did you, one time,
Wait,
the
is
one
this to
that
get
shocked
this?
me the most was the NBA. They had a celebrity thing, right? And I'm watching. They had Wahlberg there, maybe Timberlake. And I was like, man, one of these dudes might have game. You know who just floored me? Urkel!
Oh, yeah. He played for UCLA.
Holy cow! Urkel was like...
Yeah, he like barely made the team. I think
He was
made a red shirt or
amazing.
something. Urkel's good.
Like, he wasn't just like... He's pretty good for celebrity. Like, he could actually probably, at a park where they're running games all day, he could probably do very well if he had a
Show some
couple...
kids up.
Yeah, man, for sure. For sure.
How great would it be when he fouls and goes, did I do it? What was your thing that you were going to say when we were coming back? You go, get this, and then we...
So Megan Olivi was talking about soccer and how much she enjoyed watching the Liverpool Champions League when they played Real Madrid. They were out there the same weekend. It was actually one day before the Liverpool card with Till and Thompson. And apparently you love the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
All right. I just was reading that the UFC is going to Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm not sure if you're slated to be a part of that or not, but if you are, save yourself a day and go to either a Boca Juniors or a River Plate game. All right, those are the two big.
I won't be there. I'll be in studio.
Okay, so check this out. If you're ever in Argentina,
Okay. All right.
go to Buenos Aires or a River Plate game. Regardless if you don't like soccer or what you think of it or whatever, you are going to be floored. That may actually make Liverpool look like a library. I mean, it is madness. I'm talking about like M80s and flares and confetti and toilet paper that they throw on. I don't know how they get this game underway, but it's crazy the passion and what it's like in a game in Argentina. And I've been to the games in Brazil, and I thought that was pretty crazy. But this one's like a whole other level. I don't think I've ever seen anything top that. It's just nutty, man. It really, really is nutty.
Okay.
So there you go.
I won't be
I know
there.
you're a world traveler, but if you wound up in Bora Bora, you might wind up in Buenos Aires. And that's the land of the tango, steaks, and wine. I'm sure you and Joe B. One Kenobi.
Well, we don't drink.
Well, maybe not
steaks and we don't really dance, but all right.
You don't tango?
No.
Okay.
It's totally your jam.
Yeah, wow. One out of those
steaks.
3.
Steaks. You don't drink either?
No.
Okay, I know Joe.
Well, I thought you were talking to John. I was like, what?
I did too. I was like,
where have you been?
John had a 6-pack before he showed up. What are you talking about?
Hey, what else is on that bucket list? Because after you swim with sharks, not much left.
I know. You know what's really sad is we've barely been to Europe. So I of course want to go to Italy and like see where I'm from and spend like a lot of time getting to know my heritage because my grandparents are from Italy, so I would love.
What city? Or what part?
Marchigian and Naples and Sicily. So yeah, I'd like to see all of that. I want to see Greece. I mean, Europe is not being quite conquered yet, but I mean, I want to go back to Japan and see like a million other things, and I've been there 4 times, so it's hard. My bucket list is like way too long. I feel like the more you travel, the more you want to see. The more you're like, oh, I haven't been anywhere. Even though we fly like 200,000 miles a year, we're just like, oh man, I stank at seeing the world.
Have you guys gotten close to doing all the continents yet? What do you need still?
5.
5.
Africa and Antarctica.
Yeah.
Which hopefully one day the UFC will do South Africa. I mean, they've been wanting to for a while, but my understanding is just finances are not real strong there at the moment. So, got that. And I have said, like, if the UFC ever does an Africa show and at that point you get Africa marked, then you pretty much have to go to Antarctica at that point, right? You
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm not going to go out of my way to go to Antarctica, but if Africa gets marked off the list, then at that point, like I pretty much have
Yeah.
to do a destination to Antarctica.
The quickest way to Antarctica is through New Zealand, by the way, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Why do you have that random piece?
I don't know. I just happened to come across it.
Via boat?
I think yeah, it's a ferry.
I saw like a thing, yeah.
Really?
Because
one would think
really dangerous.
If you look
too.
at Argentina, same thing. It's right at the tip, and you look like it could be near, but the nearest one was New Zealand. So I think I was just watching Discovery Channel one day, and it came up like a fun
But
fact.
you just want to say you step foot there,
dude, I'd
right?
be
Like,
there for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. That's because I actually saw a thing where I think there's like a haunted something in Antarctica where like a scientist used to live, and I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a camp or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
From like World War II.
Nah, dude, I just want to like take
Yeah.
a helicopter, sit down, like maybe take a shot of vodka or something, be like, then just
Eat some
peace.
snow.
Yeah,
Get the hell out of Dodge. So you've been to 5 continents?
Yeah.
You've been to 5?
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Well, here's what I have left. Okay, this is my workaround. All right, guys. Have you guys ever been to Gibraltar? I want to go there,
No.
but to
Gibraltar?
get there, you can only go through England or Spain or Morocco.
Right.
If I get out in Morocco and just take a cab ride, I could say I was in Africa.
Africa.
True.
And then, yeah. So I've been in
Or
I've
Egypt.
been,
Didn't you want to see the pyramids?
yeah,
Yes.
but everybody
Cool.
keeps telling me it's so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's been scaring me about
Mhm.
Africa.
Okay.
There are a lot
Well,
of
so is South Africa.
yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of people that live there, and
I know.
I guess it's
But
like
I'm
any
on-
other city.
I'm on team
It's gotta
just
serve.
Touch and
So
go.
you're North America, South America, Asia,
Asia.
Europe.
What
There's
else?
7
Australia.
continents.
I
Australia.
haven't done
Oh,
Australia.
okay. I've never done that one.
But I
either.
know I'll eventually do that, and I'll spend time there.
All
I
right.
want to play with koalas. They seem fun, but they look like they could
You're
mess
not really
people up.
supposed to touch them.
No?
No. It can make them sick, and they carry chlamydia.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all
So
them.
you're actually
She's like, well, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I'll
there's
get it."
like very few places in Australia they have to have like a license and stuff, and I think there's some regions or
Why
provinces.
chlamydia? Why do they carry
I
that?
have no idea, but you're not really allowed to touch them. Like there's photo ops, like I have a photo next to one, but you're not allowed to touch them at all because I think you can spread germs to them and then they can do the same.
Did you see Connor petting the tiger the other day?
No.
But they're
Yeah.
sedated, right? Like,
Sedated or not, he was feeding him meat, and like you said, don't get your hand near the mouth. You just never know when the animal. I mean, at some point he comes out of it, or just takes a swipe.
Oh, and if
but
they're
he was,
sedated, I don't like that.
I know.
Either.
But he was doing that, and I was just like, wow, nutty. I
Oh, I didn't
don't
see
know.
that.
Yeah, it was while he was in Russia,
Oh,
Crazy.
okay.
so it happened just recently.
I'm sure they have some neat things there.
All right, we got to talk to Alex Hernandez towards the end of the second hour. Megan's going to join us for most of the second hour, hanging out here, talking everything, and we got to cover some MMA. I said we talk a little bit about UFC 228. They did release a title fight. John, quick yes or no? Is that the main event? Shevchenko
No.
versus Montano?
No.
Okay.
Not as of now, no.
All right, cool.
Maybe
So
you
more
get stuck at it.
more headed that way. Also, Andrade versus Kovacevic. That's going to be a huge
Yes.
fight. I really like that fight. We'll talk more about that when we come back. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Sirius XM Rush 93. Megan Olivi in the house. pigs. Wow, that's a big size.
They're huge, hundreds of pounds. And then weird lizards. Joe was all into it.
They scratch, huh? Lizards?
Yeah, it's wild.
Do you remember when we touched the kangaroo?
No.
I was really little. It was when the guy used to box him at Circus and they let us have it.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie radio show. We got Megan Olivi here in the house, and we're talking swimming pigs. But I have never heard of the swimming pig apparently in the Bahamas, Megan, right?
Yeah, in Exuma. I
Now,
think
if they
they're
bite,
on another island.
what was Joseph thinking? Just
Some of them bite, and
Oh,
they like
some of them
the
bite.
guides know which ones do. So you either feed the ones that bite, like so they're nice to you, or you stay away.
do they also go on the beach or they stay in the
Oh
ocean?
yeah, no, they swim to the boat, but then they go back on the beach because
Gotcha.
they know there's food on the boat.
I had never heard of that, honestly.
Yeah,
You guys are very adventurous for sure.
we try.
So, guys, Nika Montana will be defending her belt against Valentina Shevchenko at UFC 228 in Dallas, Texas. I'm
Yes.
sure you'll be there, John.
Yeah, free trip home, man. I love it. Bring
Yeah.
the family.
Yeah.
And we also have Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Jessica Andrade.
Yes.
Good
So,
fight.
nice 1-2 punch right there. Aljamain Sterling versus Cody Stamann is another fight that got announced. They've actually really started to put their card together.
Yeah.
But
Was there a Carlos Barza fight on there too? I thought.
Yeah, versus Tatiana Suarez. That's a great fight
Yes,
as well.
great fight, and then Dotson.
Dotson and Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah.
That's a great fight. No one will be talking about this one, but just from two guys that know how to scrap. Frank Camacho and Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
That's a scrap right there. So there's going to be some good fights on. Yeah, they released like 9 fights. I mean, you're not even talking Zabit and Yair's on there. I mean, that's a fight and a half right there. So it's a sick card. I love
what's
it.
what's the main card so far? The two ladies, right?
Right.
Zabit.
Zabit and Yair, yeah.
And probably Stamann and Aljamain, although that
Stamann
could
and
be
Aljamain.
the Fox Sports main event, maybe. Too.
I think that's going to be the kickoff. But my understanding is they're trying to add another main event. No disrespect to Montana and Shevchenko, but they're trying to add a second title fight. They're trying to have 2 title fights in every.
Yeah,
Could
why
that
not?
be Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till? What's
Okay.
going on with that?
Well, see, I don't know. I was seeing everything play out the way, because the thing I had heard is that Tyron and Colby Covington was targeted for that date. They were trying to get it all done. I wasn't sure what the holdup was. I mean, it's not like you got to unify the belts, right? Here's what's going on. But apparently, yeah, Till tweeted this morning that Covington's out and that Woodley needs to take the fight. Woodley said on Twitter as well that he hasn't been offered any fight with Darren Till. So, yeah, once we get off the show, it's time to start poking around a little bit. I don't know what's going on with Covington.
I'd love to see that fight if Covington can't go, because I'd rather have the belts unified.
Sure.
But if that don't work, then give me Till. Does he stand out as the #1 guy, or is it Usman, or who is it?
I think he's the guy. I think
Is
Darren
he?
Till, yeah.
I think he's the guy. I mean, he's the guy with the most heat behind him, I guess, right now. I think it'd be, you're talking about marketability, you're talking about, the entertainment era, I guess, of mixed martial arts. I think that'd be the most heat, man. But
Because remember, Usman
was there,
and
though, man. He's
Tyron had
there.
a few little words. I wasn't sure if there was any smoke there.
Usman's right there, man. I feel bad for him, man, because he's been putting in the work for sure. But I think there's just more heat behind Till right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Here are the odds, by the way. Montana's the champion, and she's the underdog. But get this, Shevchenko. She's the favorite. Anybody want to guess? If you haven't read the article, how big of a favorite she is? I guess I tipped my hand there, but throw out a big number, because it's
Minus 500.
I read the article.
John wrote
I
it.
saw it too.
You ready? Oh, there goes my little mystery segment. It is minus 550 for
Yes,
Shevchenko.
first place.
Plus 360 for Montana. Wow, the champ's getting no respect.
Listen,
biggest odds since Matt Serra GSP,
Yep.
right? For a champion defending their belt.
Wow.
I actually talked to did a sit-down interview yesterday with Misha Tate, and we kind of got an update on her career, but I actually asked her to break down kind of all the divisions and the women's divisions, and we talked about this one, so we'll have a video up on MMA Junkie, but I thought her insight was interesting, because, man, Montana is in a unique position. Nobody's going to give her any love going into this. I mean, and it's no disrespect to her, I mean, it's just Shevchenko. The respect for Shevchenko is so high, and we haven't seen much of Montana.
Exactly. It's what have we seen, right? We've seen Valentina so many times, and we've seen impressive performances. Her, have very close fights with Amanda Nunes, and we've seen that. So we can say, oh, look what she did at 135. She's going to be even more vicious at 125. Obviously, her flyweight debut was incredible, but, we've seen Nico on the show, and then one UFC fight.
And let's be honest, most fans, no disrespect to the Ultimate Fighter, but most fans aren't watching the Ultimate Fighter anymore, so they haven't even seen her run. All they saw was the finale. You know, if they even saw that, that was one of those 2-event weekends. Because I remember
we were somewhere else.
Yeah, I didn't go. Well, I stayed since I'm here.
I was somewhere else.
Yeah, it was Detroit. I believe it was Detroit was that weekend. So that was a busy week where even her performance there was immediately the next day not talked about.
Couple other things here because we got to go to the phones. Angela Hill now needs an opponent. Alexa Grasso has dropped out of the UFC Lincoln card.
I was looking forward to
Mark
that.
Hunt and Alexei Oleinik. You're right. That is the main event in Moscow for UFC Fight Night 136. And then Marlon Vera replaces Bharat Kandari. He will face Luigi Barin at UFC 227. Let's take some calls. And then I got my top 5 MMA referee list.
How did that happen? We talked about 3 other topics and you ended up at referees?
This is the one I preferred to do, yeah. The other ones they required a lot more work. And, I mean, greatest feuds in MMA history. That's 25 years of really looking things up. I thought I wanted to share this because I think the referees sometimes they get hammered too much when they make a mistake and not enough praise when they do the right thing. Cool. All right, let's talk to Marcus in Atlanta. What's up, Marcus? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Not much, man.
Hey, man, not too much. Hey, quick question, reference to the whole Woodley and Till situation. I think that, don't you guys think it was kind of strange to give Till a title shot considering he missed weight against Wonderboy? And to me, if Colby can't fight anytime soon, to me it should be like the next man up. And I think if you look at the rankings, I think Usman would be the one I would go with, considering that Till did miss weight.
That's the argument, and I was going to bring that up, but I'm glad you did, because that is the one argument, right, is that how do you give a guy that missed weight a title shot? A, it's just kind of a bad look overall, and B, would you worry that he's going to miss weight again, of course, and really screw everything up? But I guess the reason, and again, I like Usman, man. I really do, man. I like him as a person. I like him as a fighter, man. I know it may not be the most, I guess, entertaining style to the casual fan that he fights, but, man, dude, he's tenacious. He's grinding, man. It's impressive. I guess I just feel like I know that the booking of this isn't all just merit-based. I mean, they're both up there, and I just feel like, being a website operator and seeing the clicks and seeing the comments and seeing all that, I feel like Till is the one that gets more people involved. And, I think going in and marketing that fight and the pre-fight build-up and the interviews and all that, I think Till would be the guy that the UFC would probably prefer, just from a fan interest angle, I guess. But you are right, man. If you're going to make an argument against it, and that's what Kamaru should be coming out right now. That should be his platform right now. Is if this is going down the way it seems like it's going down, Kamaru should be shouting from the rooftops like the guy didn't even make weight, because that would be a tough one to argue against.
Yeah, you got to hope that if it does, if I have no idea, I feel like you have more insider information than I do, and I work for the UFC, but you've got to imagine that if that's what plays out, that with the UFC Performance Institute and this being a very big opportunity, that Darren Till will make some adjustments. He'll accept the help that, the UFC Performance Institute offers in terms of weight management and really take it seriously a long time out. Because if you start now, then you can gradually make that weight. I'm not saying it would be easy. I can't cut 3 pounds. So, but I'm sure that if he would do things a little bit differently, considering this is a giant opportunity, should it happen.
Hey,
I have no idea.
One last thing too. Considering, I think it's safe to say that Colby versus Woodley would be probably, I guess you could say, probably the most marketable fight for Woodley right now, welterweight.
Definitely.
Why not wait until either October or November to have him fight instead of making it September or nothing?
Yeah, I tell you what, that's probably what.
Thank you, Marcus, for the call.
I bet you that's why there's been such a delay, because we've been wondering why the hell isn't this getting announced. And this is me just guessing. I got to get on the phone after we get off the show and try to poke around a little bit, but. My guess would be, if you're Woodley, because again, we're talking like we were talking about with DC. If you were giving advice, what would you do? You're absolutely right. Woodley and Covington, that's the most marketable fight for Woodley right now. So I could see him saying, "Hey man, let's just tap the brakes. If he needs another month, another 2 months, let's do that." Or in fact, if we want to do it at Madison Square Garden, I guess I'd be willing to do that. Meanwhile, the UFC isn't. They need a fight. I mean, they've been looking at a bunch of main events and trying to get it. Montano versus Shevchenko. No disrespect again, but I don't think that's going to be the huge headliner that people want to see. In fact, I've already had people hitting me up on Twitter from Dallas and stuff and saying, "Bro, we're getting something else, right?" And so I got to think the UFC is pushing Woodley. We need to get you in a fight, and I could see Woodley saying, "I don't want to fight anybody but Covington because that's where I'm going to make the most money."
Let's take this call from Dan in Oregon. What's up, Dan?
Well, man, is this fucking Habib
getting angled that he's got to fight Eddie Alvarez or some shit. And then all of a sudden, Eddie Alvarez is going to take the Conor fight for no extra money now. I feel like they're working Darren Till right now, man. This is some crazy shit.
Connect the dots for me here. What are we talking about?
I have no idea what's happening.
So Eddie Alvarez wanted to fight Conor. Conor laughed at him on the stage. He said, "You fought on your last contract. This is the biggest fight of your career. You're a fucking idiot. What kind of idiot would do that?" And it's because they said, "Oh, you're not going to fight Conor? We'll give you Khabib then. How about that?" And he never took the Khabib fight. Khabib got worked over. That's when he called Ariel not loyal and all that bullshit. So is that what's going on with Darren Till? Number 2, Till made 174.5 pounds. Is this a 175-pound title fight, and we're going to get Colby at 165 for GSP? Because I think that would work in the right direction here. If we send Colby out there to make 170, that's a fucking... I don't know, that's like attempted manslaughter or some shit that I want to book on the UFC. What do you guys think of that shit?
Yeah, George, weigh in.
All right, so listen, Colby for one is like 8-1 in the UFC at 170, so I'm not fearing for his health at all.
Where did that
He
come
holds
from?
the interim title. I don't understand.
This
I
is
think
very aggressive.
Danny, are you playing a call from 2016? Because the whole Alvarez thing, it just doesn't make sense to me. All I know is Conor and Khabib are really close to making a title fight, and that's it. I don't know how Alvarez even factor. What the fuck? Alvarez has Poirier.
I feel like Dan walked in and just threw water on her face.
I sort of
confused.
understand, but I don't. So I'm.
But Alvarez has a fight
he's
against
trying to
Poirier.
show like one thing and make it look like that could still be happening over here.
Look, with Till, the issue is he did miss weight, but Till's the bigger fight right now. No disrespect to Usman, I think that it would just sell more, and I think it would interest Woodley more. But I mean, Till's undefeated. Usman's lost once. I don't know. You're splitting hairs because they're both great contenders, and he should probably fight both of them at some point. But Covington has next because he's the interim. If he can't go, then you move on to someone and you figure it out. But I think Woodley and the UFC would be confident that Till would make weight for this fight. I think Till probably corrected whatever, or will correct whatever happened out in Liverpool. Let's go to Kevin in Chicago. What's up, Kevin?
What's up, guys? So you know what's going on is Colby Covington called out their big pay-per-view star, who's probably going to be coming back, John Jones, calling him out for what he is, a piece of shit, cokehead, drug user. And I don't think the UFC likes that. I think they're punishing him for talking out against their pay-per-view star, John Jones. And I think they're...
Have you not seen what he did before that?
Just fought.
I don't know where that's the line that they would draw.
I don't know why they're trying to make a decision right away. He just fought last month. Give him some time to heal up, then make a decision.
Yeah, he did fight in June. I don't know. We're trying to reach out to Colby to see if he even is hurt or if Till's just reaching or what. By the way, you sound like Eddie Alvarez. And as far as Colby being penalized, I don't think so. I think if there is an injury, then they'll just move on to someone else. But I don't think they're penalizing him for anything he said about Jones. These guys go at each other all the time, man. So, anyway, thanks for the call, Kevin.
I'm texting him right now.
Colby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you meant Kevin. I was like, wow, okay.
Kevin, I'm gonna circle back with you offline on this, man. We're gonna follow up.
Okay.
All right, guys. You want to hear my top 5 ref list?
Sure.
Yeah? All right. Yeah. So, obviously, we have a lot of great referees in the sport. And my list is in terms of how I feel they've been performing as of late. It doesn't mean that I think this guy is a greater referee than this guy. I just feel like, hey, this guy's risen the level of his work.
So this is current rankings as of today, basically.
As of today, how I'm looking at it, all right?
Not
you want me to start at the top and go to 5, or you want me to go 5 to 1 like it should be?
5 to 1.
All right, 5 to 1. All right, so my list is the following. I want to give some love to Mark Smith. Mark Smith is a referee I've seen through Tough Enough. And he has really, I've seen him a lot on Tough. And I really love the command he's taking of the octagon. He's getting some reps in, and he's got to catch up. He's got a ways to catch up to the other ones that have been doing this for years. But I really love his trajectory. I see him a lot at Extreme Couture. He keeps himself in shape, and he's always just getting better and better. I love his positioning. I love how he takes control with the guys, being stern enough to issue warnings, to tell them what he expects of them or what he needs to see them stop doing, grabbing the fence. So maybe he doesn't have like as much experience as Leon Edwards and Kevin Walhall and some of the other guys, but it's just a guy that I've been seeing a lot through Tough, through the Dana White Contender Series. So if I'm watching you more, then yeah, you're just going to pop up on my list. Number 4. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's one of the new things with the new generations of refs is being able to command that respect right away. You see when they go to a different commission, it's not always there, and I think they're a little slow to maybe penalize fighters because of that, certain things. Big John had that respect because he was there from day one.
Right.
And Herb Dean came on so early that he had that respect going in. Some of these refs I think have had to kind of like earn and build that respect, and some of them like Mark right now, he's there right now. I think he's finally got that respect from people.
Yeah. Now, by the way, I really like Leon Edwards. He's kind of like an honorable mention, but it's only 5, and there's a lot of great refs. So now, my number 4 guy, I'm really impressed with Dan Mergliata. When I first saw him,
Dan.
Yeah, Dan the Tan. When I first saw him, you know, he was a big dude with a tan, and he was the kind of like the East Coast guy that you saw most of the time. But
What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with it. I really liked him. What I'm saying is you just didn't see him much in Vegas, and I guess UFC being based in Vegas, people tend to think, oh, he hasn't made the big show yet. He's the East Coast guy. But no, man, Dan's arrived. He's been here for a few years, and he's doing a great job. But I heard a story once. I can't obviously reveal names, but Dan is so ethical that somebody from the media was I think at an airport with him and just wanted to have either a conversation or something, and Dan said it wouldn't be right. That story, along with the work that I've seen from him, I really, I think he's my number 4 guy right now because he takes, his job serious. He keeps getting better, and he works with the other refs to constantly keep improving. He may have stumbled out of the gate initially with a couple different calls, but hey, man, you guys don't understand how difficult it is to be an MMA referee. NFL referees make mistakes, and they have the benefit of instant replay. The guy will come out and
still do it
after further review. We believe this happened. The ball should be on this yard line, or it's a touchdown, or whatever. And you'll have a guy in New York that's supposed to be an expert and go, I disagree with him. Or you'll have former jocks that are calling the plays, or award-winning announcers saying, I disagree. So it just goes to show you, man, a lot of it's subjective, that the calls that they make, and a lot of them are done in a split second. So imagine all this while 2 people are trying to basically kill each other in an octagon in confined quarters at high levels. That is a very, very difficult job. So I commend all these referees that are not only out there doing a great job, but just constantly keep getting better and better and better. Picture yourself, fans. I know a lot of you like to boo and talk shit and go to Twitter when they do something wrong, and you never give them the praise when you do right. But picture you being in close quarters and having to see somebody's knuckles split somebody's flesh, or somebody's knuckles, or somebody deliver a knee and break somebody's nose. You hear the cracking or an eye socket or something like that, and you got to determine at that very moment, he or she's had enough, or do I let them continue? Because they both had 8 to 10 to 12 week training camps, and this is it. Remember, the winner gets closer to a title, or maybe they hold their title, or maybe they win the title. And the one that loses has a setback that can be anywhere from a year to 18 months to 2 years, because all of a sudden there's other contenders that rise up, and then they have to come through. So to make that split decision, and don't forget, somebody goes home with the win bonus, and someone goes home with the loser bonus, or sorry, with no bonus. And so that's also life-altering and life-changing for a lot of people. So you're making all these decisions, trying to, the health and welfare of the fighters, but also giving them that last chance. All of it, and it's happening in a millisecond. You have to cut these people some slack. I think they do an outstanding job. But anyway, I'm not here to preach all that.
Wow.
Mark Goddard.
Goddard's strong.
Feeling it, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mark Goddard, I think, is outstanding. I love the way he communicates to the fighters, and again, singles them out and make sure they don't get additional coaching, when there's a foul that's being committed, as he's sorting it out. But I really love his communication in and out of the octagon. He was the one that scolded Conor, when Conor was on the cage, and Nardum was, getting out of line or whatever. And he believes that that's just like holy ground right there, and there's 3 people at work, and I don't care how popular you are or who you are or how much money you are, let these people work, and I'm going to command, and I'm going to make sure the job gets done. And I really like the way he handles himself. So kudos to Mark Goddard. He's my number 3 guy.
I really like Mark. I remember, obviously, it was always Big John and Herb for a long time, but on the outside you always had your Mario Yamasaki and your oh my god, I just forgot his name. Mazzagatti. I feel like Mark is that guy now. That when he's up there, you don't feel like you're lacking from the top guys. You feel like he's just another.
Well, he had the main event for DC and Stipe. That was a historic fight. So, all right, my number 2. Remember, Big John is no longer in the equation, so you're not going to hear his name in my list because right now I consider him retired and a commentator for Bellator. So my number 2 is Herb Dean. Now, I know a lot of people felt like, hey, that's the next guy. Herb Dean is an awesome referee. I really enjoy him, but when I tell you why I enjoy number 1 a little bit more, you'll see that basically it's like a 9.9 and a 10 or whatever you want to call it. This is just me having fun. I think they're outstanding people, but Herb Dean does his craft as good as anybody. And what I like is whether it's an amateur fight or
Dean right
a high-level fight,
no, I know who's number 1
he treats it the same. You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty cool. He treats it the same, and that is someone that has a passion for their, their craft, their job. There was a story once where him and DC kind of had a little bit of discrepancy early in the career, and they talked it out. They did it on a professional level. This dude trains. This dude is so easygoing. He's my number 2 guy. But my number 1 guy, the one right now that I'm really, really just enjoying how he works, and a lot of it has to do because he keeps himself in real good shape. Let me tell you something. Even in Indy car racing, you have to be in shape. Al Unser Jr. had won 3 Indy 500s, but the reason his career kind of went out was because he didn't keep himself in shape, right? And Jason Herzog has this ability to get in and out like a Spider-Man and get real close to the fight when he needs to, whether it's communicating or interjecting or doing what he needs to do, and then step out. And that takes a lot of energy, all right? And he's doing it, and he's doing it when 125-pounders are fighting or 155ers, whatever, because there's a lot of quickness going on, right? And it never gets in the way. But I really like the way he has become kind of like a little bit of a Johnny-on-the-spot guy, yet he has yet to interfere in a fight. So it hasn't come back to bite him. But I really like his positioning. I love his communication. I love his knowledge. And, again, the love he has for the sport. He trains. He's very even keel. He's, cool as a cucumber. But the job means a lot to him. And this guy has come through. We used to see him a lot through Bellator, but slowly but surely he started migrating over to the UFC, and now he's calling the biggest fights. And right now, Jason Herzog is my number 1 referee in the sport of mixed martial arts.
I like that it seems like not only is he professional in doing his job, he actually seems like he's one of the only guys I feel like blends having fun doing it as well.
Yeah, he does. At every event he's at, he's like smiling and, taking it all in. And I feel like fighters are very comfortable around him, which is, which is nice because there's not a lot of interaction with them. But, people seem very excited when Jason Herzog's around.
Yeah. So anyway, there's my top 5. If you guys want to weigh in or if you disagree or if you have a personal favorite, go ahead and I
just want to say, like the added in Mark Smith, I always give him props to a little bias. He reffed one of my amateur boxing fights. I like seeing how far he's come since then. Obviously, much bigger stage now. Jason Herzog, I like the move fighter, move. There's no getting mad at those calls when you're taking those steps and you're making it very clear to the audience, the fighter, and everybody involved. Props on that. This might seem kind of disrespectful, anti in the spirit, but I mean this in the most fun-spirited of ways. Hey, what's the commission and state that has the most funniest-looking referees? None of them probably listen to the show.
Boise, Idaho?
I'm going to go with Denver. We got the bearded dude who's constantly smiling all the time when he's reffing a match. You got the guy who looks like Jim Norton. He's been there forever. He's been there since like UFC Fight Night 13, like Florian versus Lozon. I think he made his debut. He always pops up on there. And then another guy made his debut on that same card. Something Martinez. He looks like Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite. Anyways, I'm sorry. Every time we go to Denver shows, I'm like, oh, this is the best look at this. Sorry, I know that sounds very mean-spirited. It probably came off very badly, but I always enjoy the referee selection there. Those seem like funny characters.
Wow, I didn't realize you guys had such passion for referees. Really?
Well, I think they should be well, see, if you think about it, what fighters do is very special. What they do is they're the best in the world at a certain weight class, and they risk themselves in front of thousands in the arena and millions in attendance. They get shit on if they lose, and if they win, they do get high praise, but it's only for a moment because they forget, and here comes the next card. And so it's an emotional roller coaster for them, right? But if you look at it, well, who helps put all this together? I have a lot of respect for the judges, the referees, and sometimes I'm maybe, maybe I'm white knighting for them, but I've come to the conclusion, like we could all have a big fight party and watch a fight, and it'll be a close round, and then we'll go John and 10-9, Megan 10-9 the other way, So why are we always constantly crapping on these judges that have almost the best view when even we can't agree,
Yeah,
It's because she might have liked the striking, John may have liked the grappling. I may say 10-10 because I thought it was even, which I hate 10-10s, but you know what I mean? So, but the MMA referees, it's just like a thankless job.
Would you guys ever consider judging?
Judging, yes, not reffing. I don't have those nerves of steel. And those guys, imagine the heartbeat that you have to keep. John McCarthy always talks about it. To just be in there and be calm so that you don't interject and stop a fight before it's supposed to be stopped.
I just feel like at any moment, somebody can always point to something and me and a fighter and go, that's why he picked him. So
yeah, I'd have to get away from many, many fights and have a lot of fighters retire in camps, right? And then so they can not say, oh, well, he rehabbed his knee there, or he constantly co-hosts the show or whatever. But I would love if judging, I guess people felt like it wasn't there and they needed more people, and someday I wasn't with Junkie, they let go of me or something, and I wasn't doing this because I love doing this job, then yeah, maybe I'd love to help participate in the sport and make it better that way.
Yeah.
I think the toughest part about being an MMA referee, I mean, in every officiating role, like, people screw up, right? You make mistakes, but in every other sport there's kind of a way to make it back, you know what I mean? You hear like the term makeup call, like in other sports, whether it be football, basketball, whatever. It's like, you missed a charge down there, so now maybe you call a blocking down here that was kind of borderline, you know what I mean? But in MMA, like, the really only decision you make as a referee is to end the fight. There is no makeup call,
right? Because even instant replay doesn't impact the fight that happened, only the result afterwards. And man, I'm telling you, this sport, it's going to continue to grow, and right now, kudos to all the pioneers for the last 25 years, and some of them have had the being on the unfortunate side of a bad decision or a bad ref call or whatever, but we just hope the sport continues to get better and there's less of that. We don't have the benefit of what Major League Baseball or NBA goes. If Kawhi Leonard, it tells you, hey, my knee is a little sore, and you're the coach, you're probably going to rest him, right?
Of course.
Megan, if Aaron Judge
the whole season
tweaks his hamstring as he's running the first, and you got a big series coming out, and you're the manager, you might pull him out of the game, right?
Yeah.
Because these are $1 million investments, and they have the benefit of playing either tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Fighters, they can only right the wrong after 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, and sometimes it's not even. Sometimes you're ready to go, and the promotion's not ready to go, or sometimes there is some sort of an injury setback and they can't figure it out until then, and so the referees also carry that pressure with them, and I don't know, I just felt like making this list, and that was that. But do you guys have a personal favorite judge ref out there?
No, I was going to ask, you want to update on Colby Covington real quick?
Yeah.
All right, so Colby hasn't hit me back, but a member of his team has said, quote, Colby is not able to fight in September, so if that means he is out, then he is out. And I asked if we could clarify. I mean, well, what do you mean he can't fight in September? He's not able to fight in September. Is it injury? Is it personal? Is it contract? And that's where the text stopped. So the carefully worded quote was, Colby is not able to fight in September, so if that means he's out, then he is out. So there you go.
All right.
Colby definitely not fighting in Dallas.
But that doesn't mean he can't fight the next month in Vegas.
That's right.
And Woodley could wait for that.
He could.
Right. So we don't have to have till
we don't
necessarily
have to,
now.
But if you're the UFC booking things, I mean, again, no disrespect to Nico and Valentina, but you want another main event in there.
I agree. What are our other possibilities if not
You have to book cards like that now. With the way things are, you almost have to book one thinking one could fall off.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, they've been pushing for that Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg, but obviously Nunes is saying she doesn't want to fight that early or can't fight that early.
I mean, featherweight?
Well, we still don't know the result, though, right, of Holloway?
Yeah, we don't know what Holloway said. But Ortega, I mean, you could do an interim title fight with Ortega and somebody.
Right.
All right.
Maybe that's the way to go.
All right. Let's take this last call. I think, Megan, you have to leave a little early today, right?
I have to go to work.
All right, let's take this last call here, and then we'll bounce out. Let's see. What's up, Marco from Waco? How you doing?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, vatos? El caballero John Morgan y la señorita Megan.
What's up?
Hey, on that list of referees, I hope one day you're gonna put our own MMA junkie Jason Ford in that list. You know, because he's here in Texas.
Aaron Menard, not Jason Ford.
Aaron Menard, yeah. What am I saying? Sorry, Aaron. Don't beat me up on Twitter. I was seeing of George Rosenthal. I know he just came back and he's doing work with the California State Athletic Convention. but I always think he has been an outstanding freaking referee.
Yeah, John.
And the other guy that I cannot remember his name, but he's visually, you cannot miss him. Is the guy with the long mustache that is faded all the time.
Yeah.
Beltran, yeah.
I felt that.
He's solid, and he got nominated for the World MMA Awards, and I thought about him, right? Except recently, he stopped a fight when there was, I think it was the Fresno card. Somebody was mounted, and I think it was just a late reaction.
Oh, I remember.
Like, it was a fight that I think probably maybe warranted, but he caught him just in mount.
It wasn't the worst thing
and
ever,
I guess when I thought
yeah.
about it, I was like, you know, I mean, again, I'm having a little fun with this, but I really do want to say this is how I feel, what I've seen. But I did think about him, Marco. Look, him, the dude that's like stocky and buff. What's his name? Gary Copeland. I know there's a lot of these guys out there.
What's Keith's
Keith Millhouse? What is it?
No, not Millhouse.
John, you know,
This
right?
guy from Simpsons.
Yeah, that guy.
We know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's like short, yeah.
Thanks, Megan.
There's a lot of great
You had it level with me, and then you went.
You know what?
Short.
Keith Peterson.
Keith Peterson.
No nonsense. Keith Peterson. All right. What else, Marco? Finish up.
A quick fix for September for that card. If Cody Covington cannot go, maybe don't forget about welterweight. How about Ortega Holloway or Ortega against whoever for an interim featherweight title? Peace out.
Okay, see you, buddy. Okay, so Megan just kind of said that.
Yeah, I think that was a good suggestion, to be honest with you.
Obviously,
Thank
if
you.
Holloway Ortega can't go because of Holloway, because we want that guy back at 100.
Yeah.
But it is a setback because now Holloway has had 3 incidences where, for whatever reason, he hasn't been able to do the dance. Then Ortega versus someone applies.
For sure. For sure. I mean, Max's health, above all, has been number one. I mean, since the cancellation of the fight. I mean, even us involved earlier in the week with him, like, all we cared about was his health, you know? So it's the right steps. And if he's not going to be ready, nobody's going to fault him. Like, oh, hey, your health has to, you know, come second to this title. So I think making it interim belt would make sense. And I think Max would probably, if he cannot be ready in the early fall, I think Max would probably be on board with
And
that.
none of us like interim belts, but this is one of the times where it makes
sense.
You know,
Absolutely.
sometimes it's just like, bro, they're just inventing an interim belt to put on the poster. This would actually make sense.
Absolutely.
And if you don't come strong with another title, give me some quality matchups or just some names out there that you'd love to see.
I get it, man.
Are there
Like,
any?
Just their research has proven it that you could make the deepest card possible. Everything sells on those top bouts, man.
Yeah. What about I saw Pettis call out Diaz and somebody else. I think back because Dallas is where he lost his title. Maybe he redeems himself back there. You know, we just saw a really great performance.
Sounds great, but Diaz is like a unicorn right now.
I know
Pettis versus Nate Diaz.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Pettis called out Nate Diaz, but he also called out somebody else on Twitter. Yes, I think that could be fun. I don't know. Pettis draws.
All right. Well, thank you very much for co-hosting.
Thanks for having me,
We love pulling you in
guys.
here.
It's always a
and
pleasure.
hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yes,
Say
for
hello
sure.
to Joe B. One
I will. He told me to tell you guys that you're the best.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to take this quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Alex Hernandez. He's got a fight coming up at UFC on Fox 30, which is coming up here. It's going to be on Big Fox. It's coming up here in about 10 days. We'll be right back.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
NBA Radio is your headquarters for all things basketball this summer. From free agency signings to trade rumors and social media gossip, whether it's happening on or off the court this offseason, we're discussing it on NBA Radio, Series 207 XM86, and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Thanks again to Megan Olivi for co-hosting the first 90 minutes of the show. We now move on without her, and we have our next guest ready to go. His name is Alex Hernandez. Alex, of course, if you remember, made an awesome debut defeating Beneil Dariush a few months ago, and now he's back at UFC on Fox 30. Alvarez versus Poirier. He will be featured on the main card on Big Fox, 8 p.m. Eastern Star Time, July 28th. So it's coming up here in about 9 days. His opponent that night will be Olivier Aubin-Mercier. He joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Alex? How you doing?
Hey, brother. How's it going?
Good, my man. Hey, things are lining up really nice for you. You know, you had that pay-per-view debut on short notice. You went out there, you did work. You had some nice time off, you know, for the summer, and here you are on Big Fox on the main card.
Timeline's perfect. I couldn't be happier with the process of things so far.
Yeah. What do you think, man? Like, do they communicate to you and say, hey, we love what we see, we want to put you on the main card, or is it just a phone call or a text you get from the manager saying this is what the deal is? Like, how is that feedback as far as like what the UFC thinks of thought of your debut and where they see you know, headed?
You know, we have a pretty good line of communication as far as my expectations and kind of the timeline I wanted to set, and so we were shooting for that July area. And just communication between myself, manager, and Shelby on trying to line something up around that time. Mm-hmm. I had to let my left hand recover a little bit after that knockout. It's kind of like one of those little small bones. There's a billion of them in your hand. So I hurt one off the side of it, just kind of shock factor. And so I had to let that heal. I mean, it's little minor shit you undergo during the camp and beforehand. So this timeline worked out perfectly. And then as far as the exact card and being a main card, there was kind of talk of multiple different opponents. They didn't run anything by me. We just got the news of Mercier, and I guess Shelby just sent it to my manager based on the timeline that we gave him. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's going to be on a main card in Calgary, I just couldn't be happier for. So it all worked out really well coming into a guy who's, you know, from Canada, who's been on a good win streak, and myself who had that debut. So it just worked out perfect.
I'm telling you, man, I see a lot of records, and there'll be guys that are like 5-1 in the UFC, and they've yet to be on the main card. Just look at your card alone. Your card has, for example, Islam Makhachev. There's a lot of hype behind him. He's on the prelims. Then you have Katlyn Chikagian, who's one of the top 35ers out, or 25ers out there. You know, had a run at 35, now fighting at 25. She's down on the prelims as well. Matthias Nicolau. He's a pretty, he's a stud at 125. He's on the prelims. Nina Ansaroff, she just had a couple nice wins. Same thing. You're getting a lot of love. I'm digging it. I'm digging that they see something there and they're giving you a good push.
Well, the thing is, with the UFC, there's a ton of talent. There's talent in every weight class, and it's deep. But there aren't any stars. There's a ton of talent and no stars. And I'm going to be the next star, and I think they recognize that, and that's what we're building to do. And so I don't feel like I'm out of place in being in this main card in any sense of the word. When I go out there, do my thing, and show my place in position. I expect to be on the headline within the next two cards.
You know, you touch on the difference between just being talent and being a star. What do you think makes the difference? Because I think that's a recipe that everybody on the roster is trying to figure out. I mean, you know, if you're in the UFC, you're a talented fighter, but what does it take to get to that next level and make you a star over just being a talented fighter?
Man, character and personality. Everybody sounds the same. There's a lot of, monotone, almost dunce-sounding folks on the mic, and they want something different. They want something original, want something real, something entertaining. And so people try to act out their character, act out their nature, or God bless them, they're good people, but they just, they're dull. They're dull as can be. And so just having somebody who can speak some truth, engage and act out, what they say they're going to do and do better than they say they did it, and speak on that afterwards, I feel like that speaks volumes and really kind of carries the next metric of what people expect for a fighter. They want to interview on and off or in and out of the cage, rather. And so
I think a lot of people can show up and fight, but afterwards they don't have much to say for it, or they don't really set an example that's anything beyond just being kind of an ordinary Joe.
Alex is a G. I like it. I don't know if you guys caught this at the beginning, but I thought this was one of the most gangster lines. He just said, I got to let my hand rest a little bit. Got a little hurt knocking someone out in the last fight. Oh, cool. I like Alex Hernandez. I'm a big fan of yours. And I think one of the things that separates you from other fighters is your ability to finish in fights. Can you tell us what exactly is that attributed to? Because every fighter wants to go in there and finish, but it doesn't always happen.
Hey, I'm sorry, brother. It's breaking up really bad. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you perfect. Did you hear me?
He wanted to hear all that praise again, Goes.
Yeah, he wanted to hear it again.
Yeah.
Start over, Alex. Did you hear my question? Or
Alex, you there?
He's probably knocking someone out right now.
What's that, Danny? We got totally disconnected?
Oh, yeah. We completely disconnected right now.
Oh, okay. So what's happening here? We're not on Sirius, or we're not on where?
Figure it out. So we're still on YouTube.
All right. How you been, John?
I'm good, man.
Dan,
I want to go to that one shot
good.
of Goes, by the way, for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I like how it makes me look super tall. They're like, oh my god, they can't even fit him.
All right, so Goes, you figure things out with Danny. I don't think Alex Hernandez can hear me, right?
He shouldn't.
Okay. And Alex, if you can, we're
talk shit about him?
having technical difficulties.
What's weird though is we can hear Danny's music, which means there is some kind of connection.
He may be telling us we should take that last break.
I would do it, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We ask that you bear with us while we get through these technical difficulties.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back. We apologize for those technical difficulties, but we still have our guest on the line. It's Alex Hernandez, who's going to be fighting in about 9 days at UFC on Fox 30. I'll turn it back over to Goes, who had some questions for him. Excuse me. Alex, you're still with us, right?
Absolutely.
All right, sorry about that, buddy. All right, go ahead, Goes.
Start from the beginning?
Yeah.
All right, Alex. Basically what I was saying was you're a gangster. You're a great fighter. And I think the one thing that separates you from other fighters is your ability to finish fights. Everybody wants to do it, but not everyone can do it. You've been able to do it pretty often. What is it? What's that intangible that allows you to do that?
Man, I was facing kind of the same dilemma in my career a few years back, and that I felt like I wasn't letting go in my fights. It was almost like a hindrance, like a ceiling over me whenever I would try to, whenever I go to perform, and it was kind of just angst, this anxiety and just overbuilt up tension over the whole damn experience. And I kind of just through maturity and transcending different realms of my life with my professional side as I was juggling fighting and everything, I finally just said, like, fuck it, let go, dude. Like, who gives a fuck? Worst comes to worst, get back to work on Monday. I kind of realized I can make money 1,000 different ways. Anybody can. You can be successful doing anything you want in this fucking world. And so, like, I stopped putting so much pressure on a single event, a single moment, and just started letting go and performing and being more excited about just showing off talent as opposed to winning as if it was going to be the only means that I could provide food on the table. Once I was able to let go, man, it just all kind of came together, and I started blossoming as a fighter.
When you break down your opponent, is there anything that he's bringing to the table that you feel maybe your past opponents haven't brought?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's more intent upon grappling and securing the back than maybe my other opponents have. Maybe to his own, I think to his own detriment as well. He's a little bit more central-minded on a single task as opposed to being as versatile. Certainly as versatile as I am, or even as opponents I've faced in the past. But I think in a lot of ways he's kind of similar to Dariush in having a heavy left side base and a heavy grappling form and background. And so I think I don't think it's going to be anything out of the ordinary by any stretch.
Dan Tom, our fight analyst, he's got something for Alex Hernandez. What you got?
Well, I'm glad you broke that down the same way as I was going to say. They seem like very similar opponents. You look at the southpaws, grappling, like to be on top, like the power kick. A lot of similarities there. Yeah. So as far as things lining up, you got to like that. But I wanted to touch on going back to you being gangster, because I think I might have just one-upped him and found another example of that by going on your Instagram. And there's a picture, there's a quote here. I'll read it, and you can fill us in on what A is in the picture, and B, if there's anything deeper to this quote and meaning. It says, "There are so many beautiful things in the world which I will have to leave when I die, but I'm ready. See you July 28th.
Damn.
And but it's a nice picture, like you could put on a Hallmark. It's a gangster quote, but it's attached to a nice picture you put on a Hallmark. I see a dog. I see some beautiful people in the picture watching a sunset. What's going on here, Alex?
Yeah, that was myself and really Yoda and company in Oregon. I've got my strength and mobility coach, New Braunfels, who I moved to New Braunfels. It's essentially right the road from San Antonio. Just like I start my days with him every day. He's kind of like my fucking spirit animal, really. And so his guy, who I just referred to as Yoda, lives out in Oregon. And so we went out there and had kind of a little spiritual mission, did some movement, just got in sync. Shit, we woke up every day. I'd farm for 5 hours. We did some swimming, did some movement, go into the rivers, swim in these freezing rivers, come out, get a little herb in between to get your mind right, and kind of get really deep in tune with yourself, nature, and your surroundings, and just kind of reach these new altitudes of mental awareness and aptitude. And so that photo was taken by my dude New Braunfels, just doing the picturesque caption shot that he is, and he nailed it. And so that was myself with a hat, one of a friend and mentor laying down on the ground, his wife, and then my buddy's wife, and his dog, Juice, who's this like half wolf, half husky, just the most gangster dog you'll ever see. And that was us looking out on the sunset. And I thought I'd do some cold ass shit to see. That's how I feel, man. You go into these wars, and I'm ready to fucking die, and I'm ready to kill. And I don't think most people in this world have kind of reached the mental focus, the mental awareness, or again, just the clarity and definity they have in their life, their purpose, and what they're doing that I have. And that's kind of what I displayed in the Dariush fight, and that's what I'm going to show again in this fight. So, God bless the Canucks, man. It sucks.
All right, my man. Hey, it's great catching up with you. Thank you very much for doing the interview. I want to point something out to a lot of the young fighters that may watch this show, or your representation if they watch the show. There's a fighter that I really like watching. His name's Jamal Emmers. He fought recently at Dana White Contender Series.
Yeah.
He's actually fighting really well, and he got caught. Alex's only loss is to Jamal Emmers, right? And this was years ago, 2013. Just look at the way fortunes can kind of work out. So Jamal obviously had a great career, and his opportunity came, and he came up a little bit short. Alex was able to shake that loss off, 5 years ago, and then come in, do his thing, capitalize on the right time, and now he's in the UFC. He's going to be on Big Fox. So an early loss shouldn't be the worst thing to get over. You get over it, you move on, and you just keep chasing your dreams like Alex has been doing. And for Jamal Emmers, I know he'll be back, because that night, even though he lost, I still thought he was one of the more talented fighters. The Lone Star State's been coming strong with a lot of great fighters. But anyway.
Yeah, we sure have, and he was doing great on that too. And man, just to add on that, people keep talking about me not having enough footage out to study or critique, and that being an advantage. But I mean, fuck, they could have it all. You could look at that fight. It looked like I was from a different dimension of Alex. Like, it was a completely different person. And it's the biggest thing I pride myself on that young fighters should think about too, is none of those past moments define you. You might have been weak at that moment, you might have lost that moment, but what I pride myself on more than anything else, and that it's going to continue to show, and that I strive above all the competition, is my ability to adapt and evolve. I'm constantly evolving, and overcoming. And so, you have a loss early on in your career, like a lot of greats do. You just adapt, overcome. You reflect on what you did wrong. You don't make excuses for it, and you improve. That's it. You just continue to evolve. And it's not about being that guy or being the next guy. It's about being yourself the day before. And so you just continue to improve and continue to improve, continue to improve. It's a beautiful cycle.
There you go. All right, Alex. Hey, man, thanks for letting us talk to you here. I know these are some of the toughest workouts here as your camp's winding down, but we appreciate the time as always. Safe travels to Canada, and good luck on the 28th versus Olivier Aubin-Mercier.
Hey, thanks, boys. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. See you. All right, folks. We're going to do a little bit of overtime just to do our daily debate, cover a little bit of the latest news that's out there. So, SiriusXM audience, you are going to get more combat sports entertainment. We have a great channel, and we have some great shows. So you'll probably get, in the next 24 hours, your fill of the Luke Thomas Show, MMA Tonight, Busted Open, At the Fights. We got you covered when it comes to mixed martial arts, pro wrestling, and boxing. Remember, you can also catch our overtime, or anytime you want to go back and just see what's going on, the antics in the studio, a lot of the in-studio guests we have, by going to our YouTube page, youtube.com/MMAjunkie video. That same page also has a lot of the weigh-ins, a lot of the press conferences, a lot of the pre- and post-fight coverage for these big events in this great sport of ours. So subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. All right, folks, so we're going to bounce out of here with SiriusXM, and we're going to stick around for a little bit of overtime on YouTube in about 5 seconds. We'll be right back.
Turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again. I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last dime. If I wind up broke, well, I'll always remember that.
You guys clear for overtime?
All right, guys. So I want to touch on just a couple things of news, and then we'll do our daily debate, and then we'll get on out of here. But John, tell us a little bit about UFC with M1 and UFC Russia. Is there something you can clear up for us there? Yesterday we talked a little bit about this. We thought about the irony because of Vadim Finkelstein, his involvement with M1, and the fact that him and Dana White just have never been able to agree on anything.
Well, my understanding is that M1 may have slightly exaggerated their involvement in what's happening here. They are definitely going to be part of this conglomerate that's being established. But basically, my understanding, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to go to that event and ask, a little more deeply. But basically, Russia was a tough market for the UFC to crack, and I think a big part of it was, the Russian government didn't necessarily just want the UFC to kind of roll in, take some money, and head back to the United States. They said, in much the same way China was as well, it's like, hey, what are you going to do for us? Like, we don't need you here, so what are you going to do for us? And they said, well, look, we're gonna invest some money here, we're going to build this fund, and we're going to help develop the sport here. And so, there's basically this kind of new partnership that's being formed with some investment funds, and I think M1 Global is going to be a part of that. But my understanding is there is no official partnership of like, I think they tried to present it as we're now the official feeder league for the UFC. I think they kind of overstated exactly what will there be talent that comes from M1 Global and makes it to the UFC? Absolutely. But, I mean, how does that really differ from any other place? You know what I mean? So, I think they were a little creative in the way they kind of laid things out there.
Have we heard anything in terms of ACB and FNG and their futures?
No, I mean, we know that ACB canceled some events, which is never a good look for sure. And FNG, the Fight Nights Global, they've kind of been on the back burner a little bit too. They were cranking out events at a pretty quick pace, and they've kind of backed off the accelerator a little bit. Now, we know a little more clearly what happened with Fight Nights Global, and that is their financial backer was arrested and on, embezzlement, basically. And where that stands, I don't know exactly, but I think in the meantime, they've kind of said let's not do events. They didn't cancel any events, but they just didn't have anything on the books, and they kind of left it that way.
Do you know KSW? I know they've branched out a little bit outside Poland, but not very much in the large scheme of it. Do you think they'll ever become a player, like actually start moving out?
They want to. I've talked to them a little bit, and they want to start doing some shows. In fact, they're doing a show in October in London. So they are kind of branching out a little bit. It's amazing, man, the market draw that they have in Poland, but I think they are kind of setting themselves up. They want to be, the European player. So it's kind of new for them. They wanted to make sure they had their roots strong in Poland, but they're now setting their target on maybe kind of traveling a little bit more and trying to be the big show. I mean, right now, I got to think, Cage Warriors is still kind of the preeminent player in Europe, especially with the Fight Pass deal. I think, we're just more familiar with their product, you know what I mean, and their fighters and their lineage. But KSW wants to become a little bit more
maybe
of a player.
The European pride, like that sort
That's
of role.
What they are, man, dude. If people have never seen a KSW show, man, it's something special, man. It's over the top, dude. They do it up. It's pride. I mean, it's that grandiose scale, that presentation. They're fun events.
I want to go.
I do too, man. I want to go out there. They're like, hey, come out here. I'm like, can't exactly get the company to pay for that, but I'd like to do it someday. And kind of like one championship now. We were talking about earlier with Renzo, man. That I've said it before. I'll say it again, man. That app, I think that was a brilliant move on their part because, dude, trying to ask me to wake up at 5 in the morning and pay $10 to see your product, like, sorry, brother, not happening. But, dude, when I can literally just, like, roll over in bed, like, grab my phone and just, like, lay in bed and watch some fights, I dig it, man. It's free, and like you said, man, it's smooth. The presentation, smooth, crystal clear HD. Have yet to have a problem with it. Yeah, it's worth it.
Okay, one other thing, guys. They were blowing me up here with text and other stuff. Cain Velasquez at the WWE or
training center.
Their training center.
Really?
Did you guys hear about this, and what could there be going on with there? And, John, from what we've heard, Cain is now healthy from the shoulder injury. He just hasn't received an offer that he would like for him to continue in MMA. Is that what it is?
I thought he was still recovering, to be honest. I didn't think he was 100%. I mean, I can't imagine the UFC wouldn't want to use him. I could put that on a list to find out. I mean, listen, Megan Olivi was here earlier. She talked about, going to the WWE with Cain among their group and how big of a fan he is. So certainly wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we know about Cain's health issues, right? I mean, how much longer could he have to fight? Excuse me. Supposedly he's done pretty well for himself financially from everything I've ever heard. He's not one of those guys that just blows money. So, he's been able to stock some money away and set himself up. So, maybe he's getting to a point now where he's like, dude, I don't want to go through a training camp anymore. But, yeah, we'll follow up on that.
Okay. All right, you guys ready to do the daily debate?
Let's do it.
Yep. All right, cool. So the question for today is, upon Anderson Silva's return to the cage, which one of these 4 fighters makes the most sense as his first opponent? We have 4 choices. Israel Adesanya, Derek Brunson, George St. Pierre, and Chris Weidman. You go first, John.
This is an easy one for me because before this question ever became our daily debate, man, as soon as I heard that he was going to be ready to go in October, I thought, oh, there's a good fight for Israel Adesanya right there. I mean, stylistically, I think that would be – who wouldn't want to sign up for that fight, right? Seeing those 2 guys, master strikers in the cage together would be a lot of fun. And – I hate to say it, but this is kind of what MMA does. When you get to a certain position, the young eat the old. You know what I'm saying? And I think unfortunately that's where Anderson is at this point. I mean, look, if GSP happens to come back, that would still be an incredible super fight. But I don't know that it has the intrigue that it once did because the careers have gone in 2 different ways. I think it's time for Anderson Silva to unfortunately kind of be the guy that might be able to put over Israel Adesanya and take him to that next level. Stylistically, I think it'd be a hell of a fight, and I like the idea of the last style bender being able to kind of build his reputation off that big name.
Goes.
I want to hear from Anderson and let us know how much time he has. If he's taking it fight by fight, Israel Adesanya. I love that. But if he's going to maybe put some work into it a little bit, then yeah, I guess I could see him fight somebody else. But I really do like the Izzy thing. I'm just afraid of derailing a guy like that, because you want to see him fight guys like Paulo Costa, and you want that to be for the #1 contender. Anderson Silva, no matter where he is at in his career, always a tough outing.
There's an interesting twist to all of them. With Izzy, it's because it's like they're a replica of each other. That would just be fun to watch. With Derek Brunson, that was his last win, actually. But Derek feels strong about the fact that he should have got his hand raised. And so maybe they could run it back. But I don't know that they really have the heat unless Brunson really wants to poke at him. With George St. Pierre, it's a fight like Pacquiao and Floyd. Oh, it should have happened 5 years ago, 8 years ago. But will we still see it? Yeah, because they're two GOATs, you know. And so for them to finally collide, and it doesn't really like impact or slow down a division, I'm in there as well. And then with Weidman, no disrespect, because Weidman did his job every single time. Hey, you're clowning, I'm going to knock you out. Hey, you're kicking me in the first fight, I made an adjustment, I just broke your leg. But I think a lot of people just never got the satisfaction of, hey, did he over the course of a fight just kick his ass? Like, had Anderson not clowned, would you have won that fight? And the other thing was such a freak occurrence, could you have won that fight? You know, I don't know. All Chris knows is he did his job, but could they figure out a third fight there somehow? Maybe. Would we watch it? Maybe. So they all have an interesting twist.
Watch it.
But I think it just boils down to which one's the most fun, and it's Izzy for me as well. Dan Tom, finish off.
Yeah, I'll go contrarian here, I guess. Like, it stands out, sure, the Israel Adesanya matchup, but like you said, replica. That could be a bad thing. We've seen guys stare in the mirror at each other before. We've had some reminders of that at heavyweight, even how it can affect a fight. And these guys are both counter-strikers. We've seen what happens when two counter-strikers can kind of get in there. Now, I don't think Israel Adesanya will make the mistake of some Anderson Silva opponents that may or may not be on the list, that may or may not have looked at him like a hero and let that interfere. But there's that factor when you have a guy like Anderson. They have that veteran savvy. They can really slow a fight down, make it really ugly to where even if Izzy wins, it might not look good. So I think it could really backfire, as sexy as it seems at first. So I'll go ahead and throw GSP. I think it's lost a lot of its luster, but I like it because it keeps GSP away from getting in any more title pictures, because our title picture, if you're following MMA right now, is pretty insane if you're trying to follow the interim to real championship trading cards. It's a little confusing. We can at least get these guys giving legendary status. It might not pull, it definitely won't pull what it once did, but it's enough to justify a headlining spot to give the UFC a show. I'll go with GSP Anderson.
I know the UFC accounting department would probably press GSP, right? Give me C.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you to the 1,363 that voted. Here are the results. 44% went to Israel Adesanya, so almost half the audience there. In second place was GSP at 28%, and then Weidman and Brunson were very close, 16 and 12 respectively there for those two. So thanks for voting, Junkie Nation, our readers and listeners. You guys are the best, and that's our daily debate for today. In fact, that's our show for today. We got to get on out of here. Shout out to Dan, who's all the way here from the other side of the pond, from Manchester. Roots for some Division 12 team, though, that we've never heard of, so we can't really be fist bumping in here or nothing like that. But he's a good guy. He listens to the show, and we really appreciate you stopping by. Thank you to Megan Olivi for co-hosting the first 90 minutes. Fun having her, as always. Renzo Gracie, man. That guy's amazing. Just love talking to him. At 51 years old, he's still going to fight in mixed martial arts. He's got Yuki Kondo coming up here in about 10 days out at One Championship. Alex Hernandez, same thing, except he goes to Canada to fight Olivier Aubin-Mercier. I always have trouble with that name. Okay. Tomorrow, the McKees, AJ and Antonio, father and son, they'll be here in studio with us co-hosting. John, you coming back?
Yeah.
All right. And King Mo will stop by, and Mickey Dubberly back in business.
Very cool.
You know, longtime MMA manager. He's got a new spin on how he's approaching things, and so we'll catch up with him as well. So it's going to be a fun show. So for Danny and Dan and John and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Thanks for tuning in. Go out there and be a champion.